We have a president who, when he was in the Congress, brags about the fact that when he was in the Congress, he was the first to introduce climate legislation in 1986. Now, Al Gore, right in there, so we have a little competition on who was the earliest on all of that, but President Biden feels great authority on this subject, and that's a big change for us, let's put it that way. He said, we stand at the UN last month, he said, we stand, in my view, at an inflection point in history. Our security, our prosperity, and our very freedoms are interconnected, in my view, he said, as never before. And so we must work together as never before.
In America, where the rich are becoming much richer and the middle class is disappearing, it is totally appropriate to say to people who have a whole lot of money, guess what, you're going to have to contribute more into Social Security. What we do is start at $250,000. So people making more than $250,000 will pay the same percentage of their incomes into the Social Security Trust Fund as people making $40,000 or $50,000. You do that, you extend the life of Social Security to the year 2065, and you expand benefits. Second thing our legislation does is I've heard some of my Republican colleagues talk about how the COLAs, cost of living adjustments, are just too generous. Well, this year they're zero. I'm not quite sure how zero is too generous. And the reason that we have inadequate COLAs is that seniors' purchasing needs are very different than 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds. We need a segregated system to determine what seniors, how much seniors are spending, what their real inflationary costs are, and they are higher than the general public because they're spending money on prescription drugs and healthcare, which is going up a lot faster than our computers or video games. So those are the two programs that we have, expanding benefits and giving seniors more for COLAs. Been transferred from the middle class to the top 0.1%. You have a situation now where the top 20 people in America own more wealth than the bottom half of the American people. Got that? 20 people own more wealth than the bottom half of the American people. So I think it is appropriate to say to the richest people in this country, you live in a society, we're going to protect the most vulnerable people in this country. You are doing phenomenally well. People trying to live on $12,000 a year are not doing very well. You are going to have to pay more in Social Security taxes so that all of us...
Let me just repeat that today's report has the unemployment rate down to 4.8%, a significant improvement from when I took office and a sign that our recovery is moving forward, even in the face of a COVID pandemic. That improvement was widespread. Unemployment for Hispanic workers was down, and the unemployment rate for African Americans fell almost a full percent, and it's now below 8% for the first time in 17 months. A drop of 496,000 in long-term unemployment is the second largest single month drop since we started keeping records. The largest was in July. So in the past 3 months, we've seen a drop of 1.3 million long-term unemployed. That's the largest 3 months fall in long-term unemployment since we started keeping records in 1948. More to do, but great progress. And working Americans are seeing their paychecks go up as well.
That's what he said. And I say here, this is our mission today as parliamentarians, to work together as never before to advance a better future for our children and for all people, and to recognize the role that parliaments play in all of this and the importance of multilateralism to that extent. And so for that reason, I'm so happy to be with you, and I thank all of you for your commitment and your leadership for the planet, for the children. Thank you.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell warned Democratic lawmakers that he will not support the new infrastructure spending bill. And this is bad news for Americans, everybody. The Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has warned President Biden that Republicans will not vote to raise that ceiling in December, after Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer delivered a rant on the Senate floor. And he called McConnell partisan and angry, that even Democratic senators were visibly embarrassed by him. After 11 Senate Republicans joined off the Democrats in debate on a short-term increase to the nation's borrowing limit, Schumer rose and accused the GOP of having played a dangerous and risky partisan game. Schumer said, "I'm glad that the brinksmanship did not work." So Schumer's words did not affect the vote of the actual legislation to raise the debt ceiling, which did pass along party lines. Manchin was also not the first one offended by Schumer's words, as McConnell wrote to President Biden that the majority leader's childish behavior only further alienated Republican members who would facilitate this short-term debt ceiling patch. Before offering Senate Democrats a short-term increase to the debt ceiling early this week, McConnell had insisted that they address the matter on their own, using the reconciliation process, which requires just 51 votes in the Senate. Democrats argued that any debt ceiling increase should pass with bipartisan support, and that doing otherwise would set a bad precedent. McConnell wrote the Senate Democratic leader had 3 months' notice to handle one of his most basic governing duties. Senator Schumer spent 11 weeks claiming he lacked the time and the leadership skills to manage a straightforward process that would take less than 2 weeks. In addition to the short-term increase of approximately $480 billion that allows the federal government to make good on its financial obligations, McConnell offered Schumer the option of fast-tracking the usually lengthy reconciliation process. Schumer chose the short-term increase as top Senate Democrats insisted that they did not want and did not plan to use reconciliation to raise the debt ceiling. In addition to the short-term increase of approximately $480 billion that allows the federal government to make good on its financial obligations throughout December 3rd, McConnell offers Schumer the option of fast-tracking the lengthy reconciliation process. Some Senate Republicans pushed back on McConnell's decision to offer a temporary solution, arguing to provide Democrats a lifeline, as Republicans look to strong-arm members across the aisle into passing the increase along party lines. Senator Lindsey Graham told Fox News, "We messed up, and for 2 months we promised our base and the American people that we would not help the Democratic Party raise the debt ceiling." Now, few, if any, House GOP lawmakers are expected to support the bill when it comes to the floor of their chamber on Tuesday, while most members of the Republican-led Senate, while most members of Republican Senate leadership supported any debate on the debt ceiling measure. House Minority Whip Stephen Scalise is among those expected to vote against it. Now, there are still many lawmakers in Congress working to pass a fourth round of stimulus payments. Within weeks of the crisis, unemployment skyrocketed as businesses shut their doors, not knowing when they will be able to reopen. Democrats are focused on averting a debt ceiling crisis and the passage of the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I truly appreciate everyone's amazing support. If you have any more questions about this, then leave them in the comments below. Until next time, have a great day and stay safe.